Hi everyone, welcome back to Just Jimny. Today we're going to be talking about our second part of the 2010 Jimny JB43 ZukZilla accessory systems. So what we're going to look at today and we're going to focus on is basically our underbody protection. Now what I see as underbody protection is your rock sliders, diff protectors, radial cups, and transfer case skid plates. The other components we're going to be discussing today, as well as recovery points on the Jimny, aftermarket recovery points, breather pipes, custom fitted breather pipes to your diff and transfer case, and of course your aftermarket bumpers that's available for the Gen 3 Jimny. First off, I think the most important thing before tires, suspensions, everything must be fitted to your Jimny. You need to sort out your underbody protection. Underbody protection, I would say in my opinion, is the most important fitment you can do to your Gen 3 Jimny, even your Gen 4 Jimny, before you go off-road. These systems protect very exposed components underneath the Jimny. In other 4x4s it's not as exposed as in the Jimny, but because the ground clearance, breakover angles, everything in this car is much smaller and much lower than in other 4x4s, you have to protect your underbody. This is a very important component that you need to look at, and the first underbody protection I would fit are the radial cup protectors. The radial cup protectors are the lowest position you have underneath your Jimny. Because of the axles in the Jimny, they are actually the lowest point, but remember your axle moves with your wheel. So if you push your wheel over a rock, your axle moves with it. The radial cups do not have that movement, and as soon as you drive over that rock with your wheel, your radial cup is next in line to be hit by that rock. These connection points are very exposed underneath the Jimny. That's why we want to put a protection cup over them, so that if you hit them with a rock, you just slide over. If you don't have them installed, you're gonna bend those points. That bending and scratches can cause rust underneath your car that can void your warranty, and of course it makes it very difficult to replace your caster correction bushes or just your normal caster bushes underneath. So have those fitted. If you want to look at a good pair of radial cups, look at an edge size on the steel of about 2.5 to 3 millimeters, and also look at that they fit as close as possible to the normal position of the cup. Because remember, as soon as it goes way below, you're creating a point that's much lower on your car, and you're gonna have much more damage if you have a radial cup that's not fitted correctly, and it's fitted badly or designed badly. So have a look at that. These cups are mostly you've got a lot of options on these. Have a look at the different 4x4 fitment centers. On ZukZilla, the full body protection was done by Stoffpot. That's in Afrikaans, that actually means dusty road. It's one of my friends that was with me at Technicon, ICE, and that's his company. He does a very well designed underbody protection for the Jimny. He also does rock sliders for them, and then the full set of transfer case plates, all that type of stuff. Have a look at ICE's accessories for the Gen 3 Jimny. I know he's starting to work on the Gen 4 Jimny's underbody protection as well. So we'll keep a lookout for that and maybe have a nice interview with Ace on his methodologies on designing these protection plates for the Jimnys. Next on our list of underbody protection is rock sliders. The rock sliders I'm talking about are not the chrome side steps that you get from the Suzuki dealerships. The chrome side steps are there as a cosmetic accessory. They don't serve a purpose, they don't provide any protection for the side sills on your Jimny. So if you take them off-road and you drive over a rock, it's not going to provide any protection for your side sills on your Jimny. Why do we want to protect the side sills on your Jimny? As soon as you damage them, the panel beaters can't get into that space to actually hit the metal out and get it to its original form. So they must actually cut that portion out of your car and replace that with a new portion, weld that in, and that can do a lot of depreciation on your car. It's not a fun thing to do, so rather be safe than sorry. How do you spot a good rock slider that's going to protect your car? First of all, the pipe width on the rock slider must at least be 3 millimeters thick. That's the edge on the pipe. You need to fit that to the chassis of the car. So the Jimny has got a ladder frame. The rock slider actually has multiple points where it can fit onto that ladder frame, and you bolt that into place. These rock sliders must not be lower than your radial cups. The radial cups are the lowest point on the car. If you have a decently designed and fitted rock slider, they will be at least as low as the radial cups, but not lower than them. This gives you a nice support structure when you're going over rocky banks, because then the radial cup and the rock slider actually support each other, and you can slide your car over those obstacles without damaging the underbody. Rock sliders also add another nice feature that you can actually use them as a step, where you can step up to your roof rack, load and unload stuff from there. Another feature you need to look at is rock sliders need to be either powder coated. What I did with ZukZilla is I did a poly coat on them, and that was a really good idea. The rocks really scuff these up, and later on, if you use them very hard, you might need to replace them with other rock sliders or put on new pipes where the other ones have been bent. Second most important after the radial cups in my book. Next, we'll be looking at the diff protectors. Always be aware of where the center portion of your axle is located. Have a look at the front of your car and get that position in your mind. This is a very important driver trick, and to be safe, most of the time you put your wheels over obstacles. You don't drive with the middle of your car over these obstacles, because you may hit your center portion. Certain situations force you to take lines that you can't make a choice, and you know you may hit your center portion of your axle. So that's why we're looking at diff protectors as well. You get them for the front and the rear of your car. Most important on these is, remember, your diffs gets quite hot, so look how these diff protectors fit to your axles. Is it with a U-bolt? Does it protect the rest of your axle? Things you need to keep in mind is ventilation is very important. Don't do diff protectors that cover the diffs, and don't let them ventilate. The diffs gets quite hot while you're 4x4. Same with the transfer case. Another design flaw that a lot of guys do on the designs on diff protectors are they don't have any holes for the plug where you drain the oil. If you're going to be 4x4ing a lot, doing water crossings, mud, that type of stuff, your diff oils are going to get changed quite often. to make sure to check that there's not water in the diffs, that type of stuff happening. So make sure it's got a hole for that accesses the plug of your diff, so it's easy for maintenance when you want to change out oils on your diffs. Another thing to remember is a lot of guys forget that while you're driving there's water, there's mud. While you're washing your car, washing underneath your car, make sure there are drainage holes in those diff protectors as well, to make sure that you don't have any water that's lying there for a prolonged time that can promote rust on your car. Of course, again, we're looking at powder coating on these to prevent rust. Remember, how they fit to your diff can also cause rust on your diff. So have a nice look before you buy and see how these fit to your car. Now we're going to be looking at the transfer case skid plate. The skid plate is very, very important, I'd say, for normal 4x4 off-road driving and for your overlanding guys. The transfer case is very exposed. If you're driving gravel roads, you know, it's one bad rock that hits in the wrong place and you can have troubles. While you're off-roading, I know about guys that actually hung up their cars on a rock, and the only thing that was supporting the whole car was this transfer case skid plate. If you did not have that in place, you'd probably have a cracked transfer case. The transfer case does have an aluminium casing, and that aluminium casing can get damaged quite easily by rocks or stumps, any type of debris you can get on off-road. Maybe just have a look at the position of that transfer case plate on your car. When you do power washing your chassis after a long drive, make sure that there's enough drainage holes for the water to get out. The transfer case also gets hot, so good ventilation is a must as well. Having your transfer case coated, powder coated or poly coated, also a big benefit. It's going to make sure that your plate doesn't rust. You're going to have to keep an eye out on these. These do take a lot of beating, so keep an eye on them. As soon as you have rust, maybe let them powder coat them again for you. Maybe look if it's danged up too much, have a replacement done. Diff breathers. Diff breathers and transfer case breathers are really important if you're planning to do a lot of mud and water driving. The standard nipple on the diffs and on the transfer case work well. What happens is actually while you're 4x4ing and you're driving, your transfer case gets hot, your diffs get hot, and if you do a water crossing and your diffs and transfer case is still hot, you're hitting the cold water, and of course the air contracts very fast in the diffs and in the transfer case, and that will suck water in. What these nipples do is they actually close shut, and that prevents the water from coming in on that breather hole that's available on the diffs and the transfer cases. A good practice is to let your car's diffs and transfer cases cool down before you do water crossings, but for a lot of guys, if you're on an overlanding trip, that doesn't really make sense. If you have to do a lot of water crossings, and you may have to do that while the diffs are hot, the transfer case is hot, and that's where the breather pipes come in. The little nipples, if they close up, there's a possibility that the water gets pulled through your wheel bearings and gets into your diffs. Having water in your diff is not a good thing. Like I said, it gets hot, it's water and oil mixing, and you're going to start getting spots on your gears, your ring gears, and that's going to weaken them. So even if you have diff breathers, after you did a lot of water crossings, go and check your diff oils, your transfer case oils. Make sure that it's not milky. As soon as it's milky, it's got water in it and you have to replace it. Flush out the transfer case, the diffs, and make sure that you've got clean oil in there after heavy water crossings or mud that you did. The breathers are not very difficult to install. We've got a lot of forums that explained 100% how the guys did it. What you actually need to do is you need to break off the cap of that little nipple that's on the standard diff and the transfer case, and you put over a pipe that fits that diameter. Then you lead that pipe with your chassis, keeping in mind that your car still flexes, so keep it as close to the ladder frame as far as possible, because that's the point underneath the chassis that doesn't move a lot. And you guide that pipe up to the highest point that you can. The extreme guys even put those pipes up as high as the A-pillar in front of the windscreen. Other guys just fit them to the highest point inside the engine bay. A lot of guys also do the fitment that the breathers go into the dash. What I don't like about that is, you know, if you don't have decent filters at the end of those pipes, you may start getting the smell of ATF fluid and diff oil inside your car. So have a look out. My suggestion would be fit it high in your engine bay. Remember, even if you do water crossings, the highest point you're going to get to with water on a Jimny is going to be your fuse box and your air intake if you don't have a snorkel. Those are your limit points. So keep that in mind, and that should be safe for your diff breathers as well. This can get fitted at your local 4x4 fitment shop. Have a chat with the guys about the different systems they've got available. I used a blue pneumatic pipe for my diff breathers, and small little fuel filters at the top, where we made a bracket inside the engine bay to fit those fuel filters to make sure that we don't have any dust or water ingressing from there into the diff breathers. And that also stops the smells and stuff from your diff oils and your ATF fluids in your transfer case from getting into your car. Recovery points. The standard recovery points on the Gen 3 Jimny is not bad. There's one in front. I really like the one in front. It's a good indicator of when something is going to hit your diff. So a lot of guys, if they put on aftermarket recovery points, they remove that standard one or they cut it off. I like to keep that one in place. That's my warning that something's going to hit my diff while I'm doing an obstacle. I've done many recoveries with just that one point in front. Where you start getting in trouble is as soon as you need to start winching or it's a heavy recovery. It's always better to have 2 points. That the 2 points provide a safer solution when you do recoveries from the side, because you don't have a choice, or a recovery right in front that you're doing. So it's good to have aftermarket recovery points. Look at where they are located. There's a lot of aftermarket recovery points available. As soon as you are driving water, mud, sand, the aftermarket recovery points that gets fitted on your chassis are too low. So rather get your recovery strap fitted to your points before you take on that obstacle. Your only other option on that, if you want to get those recovery points higher, are aftermarket steel bumpers. The back recovery point I actually bent on my Jimny. I'll show you the picture of where it actually got bent. It was a Land Cruiser that recovered me out of very thick mud, and it had to do it on an angle. It couldn't do a straight recovery, and because it wasn't that angle, that back recovery point bent. So I went to my 4x4 fitment center. I showed them the bent recovery point, and they rebuilt me a custom recovery point at the back, made out of standard Hilux recovery points that they took off Hilux bakkies, and they gave it a bridle in the middle, and that was fitted to the ladder chassis with 3 high tensile bolts. And after we did that, we didn't have any problems. Suggestions that I can give you on recovery points is, as soon as you go off-road, you need them. Do the aftermarket ones if you're planning to go a bit more extreme. Make them nice and bright. This is a nice tip. So while you're in bad visibility conditions, underwater, in sand or in mud, having a red or a yellow recovery point makes it a bit easier to spot if you need to put up that recovery strap in that situation. Also make sure that your recovery points are not welded to your car. Welded recovery points have a good chance of breaking, and as soon as that breaks, you all know things can go really fast south when a recovery goes wrong with something that breaks. It causes major damage, it can cause major injuries. Watch out for that. Have your recovery points bolted to the chassis with at least 3 high tensile bolts. Don't take the welded ones. The welded ones have a chance to break. The high tensile bolts, at least with the 3 you've got, one will break, you'll feel that, and then you know your recovery is not going to be safe anymore. The welded one just breaks and it will go through your friend's car or through his leg. Not safe, don't do it. Take the ones with the bolts, not the welded ones. Check out for that as well. Now we're going to look at probably one of the accessories that everybody wants on their car, but do you really need it on your car? That's the aftermarket bumpers. Especially we're looking at the steel bumpers for front and back. The plastic bumpers the Jimny comes out with are really good. They've got good approach angles, they've got good departure angles. Although the bumper is plastic, they're really tough. You know, you can drive that over rocks. The little plastic bumper bends because it's just got 2 metal plates that's fitted at the bottom, and sometimes these metal plates bend, and the only thing you do with that bumper is you go and sit in front of your Jimny, left foot, right foot on the front wheels, and you pull that bumper forward and you will get that back into place. It will look like nothing happened to that bumper. If you damage the underside of that bumper, a lot of guys have also cut those plastic bumpers on lines that are available there. This gives them a bit of better approach angle, and in my opinion, I would say there is more positives for a plastic bumper on your car than the metal bumpers they make available. The bumper I had on ZukZilla was built by LA Sport. LA Sport actually used ZukZilla to develop this bumper for the Jimny Gen 3. I was very happy with that bumper. Well designed, decent thickness as well, powder coated. It gives you a great platform to fit spotlights. It gives you a platform to where you can actually have branch protectors running from the bumper up to your roof rack, and of course you can fit a winch on those steel bumpers. A lot of guys have done winch plates for the plastic bumper as well, so keep a lookout for that. If you're looking for a winch, I haven't gotten into a situation with my Jimny where I needed a winch yet. I know the guys in Australia, if you're planning to drive alone, a winch is a must. But if you're driving with a group of friends, a recovery is always possible, or a friend has a winch so you don't have to fit that extra weight on your Jimny. Steel bumpers provide you with good approach angles as well. Your wheels are nice and open, so you can actually climb up with one wheel up against a rock. I would say the extra weight that you add with these bumpers takes a massive toll on the performance of your car. These bumpers are fitted inside your ladder frame chassis and they're bolted in there. Now talking about weight, now you're putting weight on the furthest most front point of your car. These bumpers range from 15 to 20 kgs that you're adding to your car. You're gonna have to maybe look at a suspension upgrade to fit these bumpers. You're gonna have to have heavy duty coils fitted. I just don't think the steel bumpers are worth the effect and the toll they have on performance of your car. Drive with the plastic bumper as far as you can. Maybe you damage it to such an extent that you can replace it with a steel bumper. Then go out, have a look at aluminium bumpers that's available, bumpers that's made out of pipes. The bumper I had on ZukZilla was almost about 20 k's. That's a lot of weight to add to your car. I had to put in firmer coil springs to compensate for that bumper. As soon as you're driving on the road and you do emergency braking, that bumper makes the nose of your car dip as well, which is not safe. So on the front bumper, I don't see the point of putting on a steel bumper except it's for looks. You need a winch, you want to put spotlights, you want to put in tree protectors, or the tree branch protectors. Have a look at it. I won't put a metal bumper on my new Jimny soon. I think it takes too much away from performance, and the standard bumpers are well enough designed to let you do obstacles that other cars won't attempt. The back bumper, the plastic bumper, I never even replaced on ZukZilla. The only damage I sustained on that one was after I did a seesaw, and as I drove over the seesaw to get off it, it came back up and it caught the back bumper. That's the only damage I had. Reasons I see you fitting a steel bumper at the back, you may need a wheel carrier that you want to carry an extra spare. You might want to fit a bicycle rack, but for all-round use, even extreme use, the plastic bumpers are fine. Maybe another thing we can mention on the front bumper is you get a very nice bash plate with that. That protects your radiator fan, that type of stuff in front of your car. I've had obstacles where I actually use that bash plate just to get my front wheels up on the obstacle. But again, there are bash plates available that you can fit on the plastic bumpers as well. So smaller weight and you're going to have better performance. That 1300 on the Jimny does not like the amount of weight people are putting on them. So rather stick with your plastic bumper. Next step, cut that plastic bumper to suit your needs. If that does not work, then you look at the steel bumper route or replacement steel aftermarket bumpers. So the plastic ones, in my opinion, are the best. Keep them lightweight. The 1300 of your Jimny is going to thank you. Your fuel consumption is going to thank you. That's the best way to go. Do it systematically. Don't waste your money. Thanks again for watching this episode with us. I think we're going to get a lot of comments on this video. A lot of people that don't see the same angles that I do. You're allowed to have different opinions from me. I'm giving you my experience in these videos. So have a look at them, have a listen to them. If they make sense to you, try things my way. If you don't, you can always come back and tell us a story of how you failed on-road or off-road, or the accessory that cost you a lot of money. Again, thanks a lot for watching our episode 2 of this 4-part series on the JB43 Jimny. Our social media is up and running: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Go and like and subscribe there. Of course, if you want more content like this, more good information on your Gen 3 Jimny and your Gen 4 that's coming up, please subscribe, please like, leave a comment. We're going to reply to those comments. I want to help you guys kit your Jimnys for what you want to use them for. Thanks again. Just Jimny on.